Hey everybody, we're just getting ready to do the live book review here. Just getting things kind of doing the final setup here. Get things organized. Get the mic a little bit close so you can hear me. Took me a little bit of time this morning to go live. Remember, I am in Thailand, so like if you're from the States and Europe, it's nighttime there. So that's why I have a weird time. I just woke up maybe like an hour and a half ago. Got my hair all over my head. Uh, Went ahead and pinned a comment here. So what we're doing, feel free to leave comments through this. I mean, I might not answer them right away. Might save them to the end, unless you do a super chat. Now, if you do a super chat, that takes priority. So I will kind of, once I finish my thought that I'm discussing in the book, I will answer your super chat. I had like just kind of like to give you some information here. Took me a little bit of time to go live because I wanted to follow YouTube monetization policies, if I could say this word. Uh, just because there's a lot of kind of, when you do book reviews, even though larger channels do this, you see it all over. So I just want to kind of follow policies. I was going to share my screen. I'm not going to do that now. I was going to share a PDF and go over the PDF, but I changed my mind. I'm just going to kind of read it and paraphrase it and discuss it to you, just to kind of, protect the channel a little bit and protect the policies with YouTube and all that jazz. So that kind of changed this morning. So it took me a little bit longer to go live. But other than that, we are going to go over the book YOU². And I would recommend you can buy this book. This is by Price Pritchett. You can go to Amazon and get this book. This is an excellent book to put into your personal development library. I've had this book probably for maybe 10 years, or maybe not 10, maybe like 8 or 9 years, something like that. But this is a great book. And when we talk about personal development, when we talk about creating a personal development library, I mean, I don't mean that you just get a book, you read it one time. Most of the time you got to reread this stuff, because what I find is when I reread these things over and over and over, I'm always at a different place in my life. So I always take something different from it. So, I mean, that's why when I buy books, I don't sell them back. I don't sell them back to Amazon. I keep them, and I keep them in my library. And I can't really show you a library here because I'm in Thailand. I have probably maybe like 10 books I bring with me, but back home in my office, I have a huge personal development library. Then I've actually read them all. So other than that, let's start to get going. So you can find this book on YouTube. It's called YOU². And the reason why I wanted to go over this book is because this is an excellent book, and the chapters are only 1-page chapters. So each week, what we're going to do, I'm going to go live on Thursday morning Thailand time. So it's going to be Wednesday evening in the States. And since a chapter is only 1 page, it's kind of, now this is going to be a long-winded time because I'm explaining how we're going to do everything. But once we get going here, it will kind of, maybe the whole live stream will be, 20 or 30 minutes tops. But the chapters are so short, it's easy to get to. He really gets to the point, and I'll put in my commentary. Then people will have some questions and stuff like that as well. But in this one, we're going to go over the introduction. Then we're going to go over chapter 1, which is the promise. The chapter 1 is only like half a page, so it's super simple, a super simple read. But anyway, let's get rocking and rolling on this. Let me take a sip of water. I kind of feel a little bit tired, to be honest with you. It's rainy today. It rained all night last night, and it's kind of rainy and cloudy today. So when you look out, like when it rains, it makes you feel a little bit sleepy and drowsy. But I told myself I'm going to go live. I told everyone I'm going to go live on Thursday. So by golly, I'm going live. So put on my handy dandy glasses and let's get rocking and rolling on this. Now the introduction, it starts off with a true story. Let me see if there's a quote here in the beginning. And you're going to, this is going to be the unedited version. We'll get a little bit more super into it as the lessons go on. But it's all about being authentic. That's what it is. It's all about being unapologetically you, live life on your terms. And other than that, Who cares what other people think, right? But anyway, starts off with a quote. If you do not expect it, you will not find the unexpected. For it is hard to find and difficult. I kind of love this quote because I read it one more time, just a half of it. Listen to it really quick. If you do not expect it, you will not find the unexpected. Okay, this is kind of universal laws 101. Okay, even in the Bible, it says you ask, believe, and receive. You ask for what you want, you believe you're going to get it, and then you receive it. And listen, if you do not expect it, if you do not expect to live life on your terms, you do not expect to have your dream car, your dream house, your dream salary, if you do not expect it, you will not find it. Isn't that amazing? So it's all about expectation. It's all about belief, but it's all about you expect it. That's the bottom line. Like if you go in the Bible, like if you have a religious background, and it's like when it says live by faith, have faith in it, have faith that you will get what you want. Well, you have to play with these words a little bit. Okay, faith means belief. Okay, if faith means belief, you believe you're going to get what you want. If you truly believe you're going to get what you want, you expect it. Make sense? This, I mean, you got to play with these words a little bit. Sometimes, like the word faith never worked for me. And when I have the microphone right here, you're going to notice like I have a tendency to lean down to get close to it, even though you can hear me right here. But you got to play with these words a little bit. So, for example, like the word faith, it never resonated with me. It just kind of went in one ear, not the other. But once I started playing with these words, like faith means belief. And if you truly believe in something, you truly believe something's going to happen, you expect it. So when you start playing with these words, things start kind of working for you because you're using words that resonate with you. And that's really what it is. Okay, let's go on to the true story here. He does like a little true story, little introduction, then he gets on to the chapter on the promise. And in this story, he writes about that he's in a little hotel motel at the time. And I don't know why he's in a hotel motel. He could be writing this book. And that's what a lot of writers do. Even Bob Proctor used to do this. Is that Bob Proctor, he told the story all the time where he would rent a little cheap motel hotel for the whole weekend, like Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And the only thing he would do is just go over this type of material, go over manifesting, go over law of attraction, go over how to be successful. And he would read, and then he would listen to recordings. Back in Bob Proctor days, it was records. But the whole point is he would rent a little motel, a cheap one for the whole weekend. And this is the only thing he would do. And this is what it means to be all in. Like when we talk about manifesting, when you talk about your identity, whatever you want to talk about, you talk about the law of belief. It's all about being all in. You have to be all in on this lifestyle because that's what it is. It's a lifestyle. You have to be all in. For most of you that don't get results that you want, it's because you're not all in. You have your little toe or your big toe kind of touching you're kind of like swimming in the baby pool. If you go to a big pool, okay, you go to a park that has a big pool, they have a baby pool, they have the shallow end, they have it in that they have a part where it's a little deep, but you still can walk around, the water's up to here. Then they have the deep end. Okay, when you're all in, you don't play around with the baby pool. You go straight to the deep end and you jump in. Then when you jump in, you learn how to swim on the way up, baby. I mean, that's what you got to take away when you start getting into this type of material. Maybe nobody else is telling you that, but you have to be all in to get results. This isn't about doing a 3-day manifesting technique, doing the 3-3-3 technique, the 5-5-5 technique, the 7-7-7 technique. I mean, this is about changing your life. This is about changing your identity. This is about changing who you are and living life on your terms. This is what it's about. But let's go back to the story here. Get off on a little rant there. So he's in this hotel and he notices in this hotel that this little fly in the hotel. We've all experienced this. We see a fly and the fly is on the window and the fly is basically exerting all this force. He's using all this energy to try to bust through the glass, this fly. We've seen flies do this. So it's stuck on the glass. and it's just trying to bust through the glass, and it's using all its force to bust through the glass, and it's using so much force that the fly itself is going to kill itself. I mean, that's basically what's going on. It's using so much force. And we know, okay, it being a fly, it's not going to bust through the glass. Okay. But he sees this fly doing the same thing, but he notices, like in his motel room, he had the door open. So he says, like 10 feet, just 10 feet from the window, this fly trying to bust through the glass. If the fly only flew 10 feet over, it could fly out the door and be free. And this is really an analogy what Price is really preaching about here. So let's kind of dive into this really quick about this fly. And he says, like, why doesn't the fly try another approach? Something dramatically different. Why did it get so locked in on the idea that this particular route and determined effort offer the most promise for success? What logic is there in continuing until death to seek a breakthrough with more of the same? And he gives this analogy. We do the same thing. We do the same thing as a fly. We get so laser focused on something. We have tunnel vision. That's only one way is going to work. And we exert all of our force on this tunnel version when 10 feet away from us, we can't see it. This is our promised land, but we're so focused on one direction. This is why we shouldn't control the how. You're trying to manifest your dream life. You're trying to be all in. You're trying to live life on your terms. Okay, you know what you want. You believe that you're going to get it, but the how isn't your concern. But we're so focused on just one way. And when we put so much force to it, we put so much friction to it. Remember, force negates. When you're trying to force something to happen, it runs from you. Same way if you're trying to attract your SP, you're trying to attract your SP, trying to attract a great relationship into your life, but you're trying to force it. You create so much friction to it. The person can feel you, can feel that energy from you, can feel that vibe from you, and they stay away from you. Even if they're attracted to you, you have to understand this. Okay, it doesn't mean they're not attracted to you. It doesn't mean they don't find you attractive. It just you're just putting off that type of energy. So why even as a human, us, we do the same thing as that fly. We're trying to bust through that barrier, but we're exerting all of our force until death. We're not finding a different route. And Price continues, no doubt this approach makes sense to the fly. Regrettably, it's an idea that will kill. Trying harder isn't necessarily the solution to achieving more. I say this again, trying harder isn't necessarily the solution to achieve more. Okay, this has been ingrained to us as work hard, try hard, work 15 hours a day. Okay, you trying hard is what is holding you back. Okay, and especially if you're an entrepreneur, I mean, if you're an entrepreneur and you're really into personal development, you jump on YouTube and you follow people, and it's not saying they're giving bad advice. You follow Alex Hamosi, you follow Ed Milet, and they're telling you, to wake up at 5 a.m., go to bed at midnight, and all this jazz, get 4 hours of sleep, like work hard, 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 hard. And a lot of these guys are my age, dude, and they look like they're 15 years older than me. You know what I mean? Because they don't take care of themselves. They might even be ripped and in shape, but they still look 15 years older than me because they still don't get plenty of sleep. They still neglect their health and neglect their sleep. Sleep is where your body really heals and repairs itself. So when you're just on that concept is working hard, 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 and pushing, 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 you're sacrificing something. That's what you have to understand and take away with. But most of us, we get trapped in this trying so hard, and we have that immense feeling come over us. And this is why manifesting isn't working. Getting your better life isn't working, because it's just like an entrepreneur is if I sit down and work, you can't see my whole workstation here because I got the camera here. I'm on screen here. I got another monitor here. I got 2 laptops down here on the floor. And I'm having a brain fart right now. But But when I work, we should work like we're no matter how much experience you have, you should work like you're just new at this. Remember when you're an entrepreneur, maybe you're a teenager, maybe you're brand new, you're so excited to work. You have so much excitement and things just seem to be going your way because you have so much excitement. That's how you should work. But instead, when we get a little bit more experience, we've been doing it a long time, we get trapped. We get trapped to think about the money. We get trapped into think about, I'm working all these hours, but I'm not making enough money. Or I'm not making enough money for my efforts, or I gotta pay bills, or when bill time comes, we get the sweats. And work doesn't become fun anymore. It doesn't become something that we love doing. It becomes a chore because deep down or deep rooted beliefs are are thinking of worry and doubt and fear. This is sometimes what's holding your business back. Is you got to start working from a point that you're already successful, working from a point of you're already a multimillionaire. Or another way to think about it, you got to work from the point like you just knew at this, baby. You're excited. Okay. The money and all this stuff comes down the road. Okay. Do what you love, do what you're passionate about. Okay, that you have to go from an excitement stage rather than a worry, doubt, and fear. Most of us are working under a worry, doubt, and fear basis, and this is why things aren't help. This is why things are not coming to us because again, it causes friction. Friction is force. Force negates. Okay, where was I? So we are on trying harder. If you stake your hopes for a breakthrough on trying harder than ever, you may kill your chances for success. This is what we've been talking about. I'll say it one more time. If you stake your hopes for a breakthrough just on the terms of trying harder, you may kill your chances for success. It's not about trying harder. It's not about working harder. It's not about working more hours. Okay. What if we could work less and earn more, work less and be happier? Make sense? So let's move on to chapter one. Chapter one is called The Promise. Are you ready for this? Are you ready for the promise? You don't have to be content with improving things incrementally or gradually. I love this. I'll read it one more time as I kind of messed up there. You don't have to be content with improving things incrementally or gradually. So, what that means, that's a little quote here. We're all kind of brought up like this. Okay. We're all kind of brought up with, take a sip of water there. We're all kind of brought up with when we think about success, when we think about improving, we think we improve small little steps, small little increments, gradual increments. That's how we think success. Like, the great thing is like if you're an employee, maybe you get a job, you start off at 20 bucks an hour. Then when you look for a new job, you don't think to yourself 50 bucks an hour. You think like, well, maybe I could get $21 an hour or $22 an hour. We think in small increments. Okay, we think in gradual increments. That's how we think. We think from a scarcity mindset, a poverty mindset. This is really a scarcity mindset, a poverty mindset. This is the mindset that you don't believe in abundance. You don't believe abundance is infinite. You don't believe abundance is inside you. Okay, this is how the subconscious mind works. If your subconscious mind, you truly got your subconscious mind believing that abundance is infinite, abundance is yours, abundance is inside you, God lives inside you, Holy Spirit is inside you. Well, once your subconscious mind takes this as true and fact, it will jump you beyond measure. It will jump you from 20 bucks an hour to 50 bucks an hour, 20 bucks an hour to $100 an hour. Okay, there is no gradual increments. This has just been the kind of like the dogma that's been ingrained in us over the years. Okay, we think just small little increments throughout time. Cut out that comment there for a second. Uh, I mean, does that make sense? Like if you influence your subconscious mind and you constantly telling yourself through an affirmation, robotic affirmation, abundance is mine. My business is booming. Everybody wants to work with me. Abundance is infinite. Abundance is my birthright. Okay, heaven is within me. God is within me. Okay, if God is perfect, that means I am perfect. That makes sense. You say this stuff over and over and over until you believe it. Once you believe it, your subconscious mind believes it, and this is where success can catapult you. This is where everything is just coming in your life, and it's coming in your life in abundance, and it's jumping you. It's jumping you. You're not taking little. You're not going from $20 an hour to $20.50 an hour. You're not getting 25 cents raises. Okay, you're getting a $20 raise. You're getting a $30 raise. You're getting a $50 raise. You make sense. It will jump you, and you have to believe in this. Okay. And this is the stuff that, just been ingrained in us in school from our parents, from little on up, going through the entire school system and learning from other people bad habits. Okay, let me get back over here. Lost my little place here. Now, the problem, this is only a half a page. Okay, so once we get going here, we might be able to cover this up pretty quick. Plus, I'm putting a lot of commentary, a lot of experience, how I'm kind of interpreting it right now today. And this is kind of why I don't like to kind of read things before I go live. I don't like, even when I make regular videos, lots of times I don't read it because I just want to feel free and fresh in my mind to kind of talk about it. So let's get cracking again. Right now, in this moment, you're capable of exponential improvement in your performance. You can multiply your personal effectiveness, hit new highs, and shatter your old achievement records. The results you can have will be hard for you to imagine. You can become you². Now, with Price Pritchett, when he says you², he's kind of really talking about your the successful version of you, your new identity. Okay, right now you have your identity. Right now, we can call it your old identity. Your new identity is that's the successful version of you. That's the millionaire version of you. That new identity. Okay, now what he's saying here is you can become that new identity. Boom, right now, today. All you have to do is make a choice. That's it. Okay. These are the laws of the universe. No matter if you say the laws of the universe, universal laws, the creator of the universe, God's laws. These all follow laws of the universe. It's the law of belief. Okay. It really comes down to the law of belief. It's what you believe to be true for you has to happen to you. And what I believe to be true for me and my life, and what I firmly believe deep down in my secret thoughts has to happen. This is the takeaway I want you to understand. Okay, if you can see it in your imagination, think about it this way. If you can see it in your imagination, okay, if I say, what type of house you want, you say, want your dream house. And I say, what does your dream house look like? Okay, what part of the city you're living in? You automatically go inside your imagination and you see your dream house. You see how big it is. Maybe it's 4,000 square feet, 5,000 square feet. Maybe it has 4 or 5 bedrooms, or maybe it's 2 stories. Maybe you have a swimming pool, and you have a barbecue station. You have an entertainment area where you have a pool table and TV and a little cigar lounge. Okay, maybe you work from home, so you have an office exterior from your home. You have an office and a relaxation room. Okay, maybe your pool is very, very high end, so you have the pool and it's an L-shaped pool. It kind of goes into an L shape where one section is your jacuzzi, then it goes into the pool, and you have these marble platforms so you can walk across the pool to get into your jacuzzi. That maybe you have an open concept. Maybe your kitchen is opened, everything's open where you can see your whole grounds, see everything. Okay. Okay, what do you really want? I just kind of describe it kind of very specifically to you. Okay, but what I want to tell you, if you can see it in your imagination, it has to happen for you. This is what you have to believe. This is true. Okay, if you can see it, it has to happen to you. Might not happen to you tomorrow, in 3 days, next week, next month, but it has to happen. If you can see it, it has to happen because it's happening for you right now. This is what you have to understand. It's happening to us right now. But right now we're in bad habits. Right now, what do? We constantly complain and murmur and think about things we don't like, complain out loud, talk to ourselves, what things we don't like, what people we don't like, why we don't like them, why we don't like our boss. Okay, what we don't like about our city, what we don't like about this and that. This is our natural conversations all over the place. Okay, and this is what is actually coming to us. Okay, this is what we have to understand. It's everything that you're seeing in your imagination is imagination is actually happening and coming to you. If you have a job, a boss you hate, on Sunday night, Sunday night before you go to sleep, you don't want to get up and go to work. What do? You go inside your imagination and you make up little imaginative fights and arguments you're having with your boss that hasn't even occurred yet, but 100% guarantee it's going to happen to you. Hey, Rhythm, I got your comment here. I'll answer it here in a second. Um, but it has to happen to you. That's what you have to understand. Uh, so let's go back to this chapter so we can kind of wrap up this chapter. So it's all about your identity. It's all about you believing that you squared is your new identity, that successful version of you, and you can have it now. You can have it as quickly as you want it. You don't have to settle for things as they are now. Listen to this. You don't have to settle for things that there are right now in your 3D world. You don't have to settle. You can live life on your terms. You can do what you want. You don't have to settle for it. That can change dramatically. If you're ready, life is prepared to give you a breakthrough experience. You can jump to a higher orbit of achievement, live the dream, enjoy a completely different plane of success. This goes back to the quote in the beginning of this chapter is you don't have to be content with improving through incremental and gradual. You don't have to, again, you make 20 bucks an hour, you look for a new job. Why are you asking for $21 an hour when you can ask for 50 bucks an hour? See, this is that's that new version of you. Okay. If you're a millionaire, okay, if I had millions of dollars in bank right now, if I go to pay my bills, am I gonna get all sweaty paying my bills? Am I gonna when it becomes bill time, put the book down. When it becomes bill time, I'm like, "Ooh, I gotta pay my bills. This is how some of you act. I have family members that act like this. This is why I can give it as an example. I have family members that when it comes time to pay their bills, even if it's first of the month or middle of the month on the 15th, they kind of like walk through, they're all glum, I gotta pay my bills, but they see all their money going out. Rather than being excited paying your bills, rather than like thanking God, hey, I got abundance of money to pay my bills. Thank you. Every time I pay my bills, money comes back to me double. This is what you got to tell yourself when you pay your bills. But again, with my example, if you're a millionaire and you live in the inn, you have $1 million in a bank, are you going to be behaving this way? See, this is your old identity. We're still going back to that old version of you and not that new version of you, not that you squared version of you, like an example out of this book. To move on here. Also, you don't have to be content with improving things incrementally, gradually. Just as your performance can improve drastically, so can the rate of accomplishment. Furthermore, U square formula requires far less effort than you're giving in the past. You haven't been reaching your full potential. So far, you haven't even come close. Listen to this. This is so true, even with the universal law. Even for myself, I haven't reached my full potential. Okay, what's your full potential? Have you reached your full potential? Because we don't, lots of times when you think we don't, I mean, if I look at myself, I mean, it can be hard to imagine my full potential. Okay, full potential really comes down to the spiritual. My hair is like all crazy here, but But, that's the thing. We don't realize the power that we really have, the power that we have as a spiritual being. No matter your religious background, no matter your thoughts on this, we're all a spiritual being, and we don't realize the power we really have, okay? Because as a kid, either it's been beat out of us, screamed out of us, or whatever, or it's laying dormant inside us. Our power is dormant. Our power is still there. We haven't lost it, but it's dormant. We have to wake it up. But think about it this way: if you truly believe, even for myself, if I truly believe, I can call I can call the unseen to the seen. This is all over the New Testament. You can call what you want. Call the unseen to the seen. No matter how big or how difficult your mind can perceive it, you can call what you want to the seen. It has to come to you. Abundance is your birthright. Abundance is all around you. Abundance is infinite. Okay. You can never, even for myself, I can never ask for enough. That's what you have to understand. You can never ask for enough. If you really believe that God is inside you, heaven is within you. God dwells inside you. Okay, if God is all there is, if God is perfection, if God is abundance, if God can call things to the unseen to the seen, if God has his power, God dwells inside you, you have the same power. You have to understand this. You have to start walking a little bit different, walking a little bit more successful, walking knowing that what you want can happen 100% because it's happening to you right now, but it's happening to you in a way that you don't want it. We're almost done with this. I get off on a little rant. Listen, it's like the last paragraph here. If you haven't been reaching your full potential so far, you haven't even come close. You haven't come close to your full potential. No matter how you wish to measure success, regardless of how you define achievement, you have barely scratched the surface on what you personally can accomplish. Listen to this. You have barely scratched the surface on what you can personally accomplish. I have barely scratched the surface what I can accomplish. And you too. You have barely scratched the surface because your mind is so limited. Okay, your mind is almost limited like when you drive in the dark. Okay, we all driven in the dark. We have a car, we drive at nighttime, and you can only see, I don't know how far the lights go up. I mean, 50 yards, 100 yards, but the fact is you only can see so much in front of you. This is how we live our lives. We live our lives in a 3D world, see, hear, smell, taste, touch. Is what we see in our 3D world is what's shaping our lives. Okay. But in higher consciousness and manifesting, no matter what you explain it, your 4D world, you can't let your 3D world, you can't let your five senses dictate how your life has to be. Okay. We live by our higher faculties, our higher consciousness, which is, for example, like intuition, perception. Okay. Having that gut feeling to do something, but we don't follow it. These are the voices, no matter how you want to how you want to say it. These are voices of God, higher consciousness, whatever you want to say it is. Okay, well, or maybe you don't really believe that way, but you realize you just don't know where it comes from. Have an intuitive thought, a gut feeling to do something, and you do it, and it's a puzzle piece that takes you farther into what you want. But I love that when he said here is you have barely scratched the surface on what you can achieve, but you just have to believe you can achieve it. You have to believe that you can live life on your terms. You have to believe that you can have exactly what you want. And you have to believe that what you see in your imagination, if you can see your dream car in your imagination, that means you can have it. Period. If you can see it, you can have it. It has to come to you some way or another. It has to come to you. But maybe the time has come to change all that. Maybe you're ready to make a quantum leap. And that's the end of the chapter of the promise is making a quantum leap, making the quantum leap from your old identity to your new identity. We don't have to make little gradual steps. You can decide today that, I'm tired. I'm basically tired of being the old Chad, making the old decisions I used to make, because me making my old decisions just giving me the same results over and over and over and over. And if I don't like the results, well, what do I have to do? I got to start making better decisions. I got to start making new decisions. This is like the law of karma. Something keeps on happening. The same similar stuff keeps on happening over and over and over and over and over because you're making the same decisions in that realm. Okay. So in this first chapter with you 2 here, now he's basically saying you can jump. You can make a quantum jump to that new identity, to that new successful version of you, to that multi-millionaire version of you. You can become that person today. And how you do it through experience is you take a little bit of work. It takes a little bit of time. You do a little bit of work of how would I act if I was a millionaire? How would I act If I already had my dream house, I'm already living in my dream house, how would I act and carry myself? What type of decisions would that version of me do or be making? What type of friends would I have a different group of friends I hang out with when you go inside your imagination? Would you be hanging out at different places? Would you be buying coffee at a different coffee shop? Okay. Makes sense. But see, what you got to do is once you realize this and you become aware of it, you start making those decisions right now today. That's how you make a quantum jump. You make the decisions right now today, even if it scares the shit out of you, because it is going to scare the shit out of you, quite honestly, because you're not used to making those decisions. No, it's not about waiting. A lot of us think it's waiting until I'm a millionaire. It's waiting until I'm successful. It's waiting until I have the money to take that dream vacation. It's waiting until I'm living in a dream house. Then I'll be that person. You're thinking backwards, my friends. It's backwards. It's never going to come to you. It's about doing it now, today. Okay. Bottom line. Okay. And I know sometimes the argument is well, Chad, sometimes people want to cast a debate and say, well, Chad, I can't just go out and buy my dream car right now today. And yes, that might be true. But the bottom line is, if I want my dream car, I can see myself driving my dream car in my imagination. Maybe I'll go to sleep in that state that I already have my dream car in my 4D world. Okay. When you live in the end, you already have it. Okay. The how isn't your concern. You have to get the how out of your mind. Bottom line. Okay, the how will basically destroy you. The how, okay, when I start, okay, I'm super analytical, so I struggle with this stuff. Okay. If I go down howville, how something's gonna come to me, how something's gonna happen, okay, my mind already goes into, okay, I need to make more money. How am I gonna make more money? Okay, maybe I need a bigger client, maybe I need to get a second job. Okay, this is the how. This is what your mind will do when you go down howville, how to make things happen. But the bottom line, when I go down howville, one, is stressful. I start to worry and doubt the process. Okay, to be transparent with you. And worry and doubt leads to fear, and fear is crippling. Fear will stop you. Okay, that's how powerful fear is. But the brothers and sisters to fear is doubt and worry, and doubt and worry comes from because you're trying to control the how. You have to let the how go, because when you control the how in your 3D world and in the five senses, see, hear, smell, taste, touch, you might only see one way. You might only see two ways how you can make it happen. And maybe you can't even, if you want to buy a $200,000 car and you only make 50 grand a year, your brain's going wild. How can I figure this out? And you can't, or you only see one direction or one or two different ways. But when you stop controlling the how, those two ways can turn into 100 different ways of how your dream car, your dream house, your dream life can come to you. It turns into a way that it's very, very unexpected. And I'll tell a story really quick that just popped in my mind, and I'll kind of come to the comments here. Um, this is going on a little bit a little bit longer, but this is kind of the first chapter of the book review. But anyway, I developed this affirmation, and I did this. It's been maybe a year ago, almost a year and a half ago. But I moved to Thailand in 2021, lived in Phuket for 1 year. Then I went home to visit family. And when I came back and I lived in Hua Hin. When I came back to live in Hua Hin, I signed a 6-month lease because I had to go home in May of that year because my niece was getting married and my niece wanted me to come to the wedding. So when I came to Thailand that time for 6 months, what I did was I was on a tourist visa. A tourist visa is 3 months. Then after the tourist visa, I did 2 border runs. So after that, I did 2 border runs. That totaled 6 months that I could stay in Thailand. And that's how I stayed in Thailand for 6 months. But what I did is I developed this affirmation because I got tired of coming to Thailand and being on tourist visas and only staying 3 months, and I have to do border runs, or I got to leave and come back and stuff like that. So I developed this affirmation. This affirmation actually came true. Okay. But this is why I said when I was in Thailand that time for that 6 months, for the whole 6 months, I did this affirmation. Every time I thought about my visa, every time I thought about going home and going home to the wedding and coming back to Thailand, I said verbatim, I said, when I come back to Thailand, I'm gonna be on a 1-year visa. Every time I thought about it, I would say, when I come back to Thailand, I'm coming back on a 1-year visa. Okay. Mind you, the visa I'm on at that point was just a tourist visa, or I did a border run, so I was on no visa at all. So I said this for 6 months. Anytime I thought about it, I would say this affirmation is, when I come back to Thailand, I'm coming back on a 1-year visa. And this basically came true, my friends, and I didn't even force it. I wasn't even looking how it was going to happen. I wasn't on the Thai immigration site how I was going to make this happen. I'm under 50, so a lot of you know that if you're under 50, I can't get the retirement visa. So if you can't get the retirement visa, they make it a little bit difficult to jump back and forth. So I went home for the wedding. When I went home for the wedding, I did this affirmation so much when I was in Thailand. I didn't even think about it. When I went home, I didn't think about going back to Thailand. I didn't think about how I was going back to Thailand. I was in Ohio for 1 month, and after I was in Ohio for 1 month, I was like, "Oh, I gotta buy my plane ticket, at least buy my plane ticket a couple months out, so it's not so expensive." So I sat down and I was looking for a plane ticket, and I got like excellent price. It was like only like $600. So I thought, "Oh shoot, I better jump on it." So I booked my plane ticket a couple months out near the end of August. This was like June, I think June, by the way. And that's all I did. I wasn't thinking about my visa. I wasn't thinking about anything. I just bought my ticket, went on with my day. Bought my ticket, lived in the inn. I only thought about my visa twice when I was in Ohio. Every time I thought about my visa in Ohio, I still said the same thing. I was like, "Oh, when I go back to Thailand, I'm going back on a 1-year visa." And this is exactly what happened. It came down to the wire, okay? It came to when you file for a visa, for those of you who don't know, when you file for a visa, to play it safe to get your visa approved and stuff like that, you have to file about 1 month before your flight to kinda give immigration plenty of time to look at your paperwork and approve it. So, it literally came down to, like, 4 weeks, like, 4 weeks to the date that I was leaving, and nothing seemed to at that point, I was thinking, "Well, I'm gonna have to just do a tourist visa again or do a multiple entry visa, like a 6-month multiple entry visa," but that still isn't a 1-year visa. So when I actually sat down to do my visa, it came to the core, it came to the day, I have to sit down and file. I have to sit down and do this. I can't wait any longer. But when I sat down to file my visa, my first instinct is I'm gonna have to do the tourist visa. But when I sat down, got on the Thai embassy website, like 2 days prior of me sitting down, Thailand came out with a whole new visa program. It's called a DTV visa. It's basically the destination Thailand visa. It's a 5-year multiple entry visa. So it's a 5-year visa. It's multiple entry, meaning you can go and come as you please. Come into Thailand, leave. You don't, as you please. But it's a 1-year visa. Okay, I can stay 6 months, extend it 6 months for 1 year. So I can stay 1 year without leaving Thailand. So it's a 1-year visa, but it's a 5-year multiple entry. So it's a little bit better than what I was expecting. And so that affirmation became true, but it came true until I actually sat down to flip and file. When I sat down to flip and file my visa, that's when it came true. And because I conditioned part of it, I conditioned myself, I let it go, and it just turned into a robotic affirmation, something I said. Then when I went to Ohio, I totally forgot about it, I totally let it go. But it didn't come true until I actually sat down to file. And sometimes that's what happens. Is like what you want, some things are gonna come right away to you, and some things it's not gonna it's gonna seem like nothing is moving, nothing is coming your way, and you take a step forward to do it, and then boom, that's when it comes. And that was my visa situation. But then after I got the visa, it was a weird feeling because after I got the visa, it felt like I already had my visa the whole time. It was a really weird feeling. Like when you finally get what you want, you finally get like an affirmation. Affirmation comes true. What you're trying to manifest comes true. Like when you're doing this stuff the right way, like living in the in, acting as if, is once it happens to you, it actually feels like you've already had it because you did already have it in your 4D world. It was already yours. Once you wanted it, once you said it, once you set that intention, it was already yours. But anyway, my friends, it's been about 45 minutes, been going on like crazy. Let me see the comments here. I don't know if some of you are still here or not, but I will answer the comments anyway. Let me see. We got Rhythm here. I want the ability to travel everywhere at the drop of a hat. And Rhythm, you can do that. You know what I mean? The question is why aren't you traveling right now? Because it could be a fear barrier. Okay. And you know what? Sometimes I tell my Thailand story. Now I was kind of well traveled. I'll be honest with you. I love to travel. I love to go on vacations. Before I started living abroad, I would go on vacations every year, either international or somewhere in the States or go up to Canada or Alaska. I've been on several cruises. Um, I mean, if you've been on cruises, I mean, I always tell people if you haven't taken a cruise, I mean, take a cruise. I mean, I love cruises. I mean, some people feel trapped. I don't know why, but I love the cruise because once you pay for the cruise, everything is flipping paid for. So it's a different type of vacation when you go in there. Everything's paid for except alcohol. Now, alcohol is an additional on top of it, but usually everything's paid for. Your excursions are paid for all up front. So when you go, it's a very relaxing time and it's a fun time. So I always have I tell people if you haven't been on a cruise, take a cruise. You probably have a wonderful time. Um, but if you want the ability to travel, do it. Okay, like when I came to Thailand Thailand was the first time that I was gonna stay a long stay. So what my first goal with Thailand, I was gonna stay 3 months to see if I liked it. So I got a 3-month visa, a tourist visa, and I was gonna stay 3 months. Then from there, I didn't even know. I didn't know anything. I was like, from there, I'll just figure it out. Seriously, when I booked to go to Thailand, people would ask me, "Chad, where you're staying?" I didn't even know where I was staying. I didn't even do no research in Thailand. I'm serious. I'm not even joking. And like my brother-in-law would ask me, "Where are you staying?" I would have to actually get online and I would say, "Oh, I'm staying in Patong, some resort called Adamatra." And he's like, "You don't even know where you're staying?" I was like, "No." Like, "You don't even know where it is?" "No." I didn't even know Patong, at the time. I mean, I literally did no research. I mean, Patong's basically a party city, Phuket, Patong, Phuket. It's kind of like the party side of Phuket. I mean, Phuket's, I mean, there's bars all over. It's not just Patong, but Patong's kind of known for like a party city. But I didn't even know that. I didn't even know where I was going. I just picked a place and went, and I didn't know nothing. And I just took it as I'll figure it out along the way. If I like it, I'll figure out how to stay longer. I mean, sometimes that would scare the crap out of people, like not knowing. And on top of this, when I went to Thailand, this might resonate with a lot of you. When I went to Thailand, I might do a separate video on this because I never shared that experience on a video. Is I went at the time before that, I went through a bad breakup, and this was the near the end of the pandemic. I just wanted to go somewhere, always wanted to do a long stay. And when I went to Thailand by myself. I didn't go to Thailand with a group of people. I didn't go to Thailand with friends. I didn't know anybody in Thailand at all. So I went to Thailand completely by myself. And this is the first time in my life I ever traveled by myself. Usually in the past, when I went on vacations every year, I always went on vacation with a significant other. And, I always traveled with somebody when I went on vacations. So this is the first time in my life I went by myself, and it was an amazing experience. Honestly, I mean, it was so amazing. I'll do a separate video on this. So, um, I, so this live don't take forever. Uh, just to kind of respect people's time and stuff like that. But it was such an amazing experience when you go by yourself, you don't know anybody. Because even if you're shy, even if you're kind of like an introvert a little bit, when you actually go by yourself, you have a breaking point when you go by yourself, because at first when you show up, you're shy, you're not really talkative that much, you're really an introvert, but you have a breaking point because since you don't know anybody, okay, you eventually get to a point you have to introduce yourself to other people. You have to talk to other people. And you come to find out other people are in your same shoes. Other people are new there too. Like when I stayed at Adamatra at that time, there was so many of us doing long stays that never been in Thailand before and was doing the same thing I was doing. You meet people all over that have their own unique experiences, and they're traveling. Some of them are just traveling for vacation and that's it. Some of them had horrible breakups, maybe they went through a divorce, and this is them kind of regrouping, quite honestly. I met a chick, she was around my age when I was in Phuket and Patong staying at the resort I stayed at, and she had her doctor recommended her to take like 6 months off work, because I think for her, work was so stressful, and we didn't talk about work that much because her whole thing was just to get away from it. But she was kind of like, she wasn't really having a mental breakdown, I don't wanna call it that, but just like stress and anxiety from work, she was just getting into like horrible health. um, and the doctor actually recommended and actually signed her off work so she could just go, and just the doctor just said, "Go for 3 months, 4 or 5 months, and just relax and just have fun. Go on vacation." Not for 2 weeks, but for 4 or 5 months. And that's what she was doing. So you meet people all over that's in different situations, different things happening in their life. Some of them are, we call it like a midlife crisis, but really a midlife crisis is a positive. It's really, you wake up one day and you want life to be different for you. Bottom line. Okay, you don't like how life is going and you want to change it. Okay. You know, broke people, poverty people, scarcity people, or you have people that make fun of it. "Oh, he's having a midlife crisis." And they look at it as a negative, but most of the time it's a positive, because you really just don't like how life is going for you and you wanna change it, and you put up with it so long, you're at your breaking point, and now you're jumping into that, you're doing that quantum leap into that new identity, because you're so fed up. You're so fed up with how it's going that you make changes. That's really a midlife crisis. Then then we have Katie here. You can have that. Maybe read the book. It works. It really does work. Have gotten houses, land, cars, many things this way. It's just a small book. It works though. How to do it every day. Yes, Carrie. That's Katie. I agree. I don't think I read It Works. I'll look it up. I've read a lot of books. Um, because I've been doing this stuff for a long time. Not just me. I'm not just talking about manifesting. I'm just talking about business in general, personal development, and stuff like that. So I'll pick up this book, um, and affirmations like Chad is saying. Rhythm update. I worked on my newsletter yesterday and signed up for writing classes. No, that's great. That's what the big thing is, like with anything you want to do, and for everybody, not just rhythm here, is it's scary to get going. It's scary to get started, but you just have to start. You just have to be authentically you. And that's scary for people. Sometimes it's scary for me. Sometimes that's why when I get on here, my hair is all over my head. Sometimes I do it on purpose, because this is what I look like right now. so you just have to be unapologetically you. And that's what works, like in business. That's what works online, is people want to see the real you. They want to relate to the real you. They don't want to relate to someone fake, or you have a fake persona. And this is, I mean, again, this is going back old school, but old school business, where what I mean, like old school business is like, I have my personal life and I have my business life, and I don't mix the two. Okay. And this is kind of like that old school business concept is I have the professional Chad, I got my personal life Chad, and you don't see the two. Okay. I hide my personal life and you only see me dressed in a suit, dressed fancy, have a fancy watch on. You only see that version, but you don't see the real Chad. And what really works is you seeing the real you. People want to relate to that. And I think the biggest person that come to mind right now is Gary V. I think Gary V is probably the boss in this section. Where we see Gary V, you see him all over. You've seen him in his personal life, in business and his agency and his wine company. But when you see Gary V all over, what start happening is just Gary V. It's just him. You know what I mean? It's not he's not doing different versions of him. You know, I It's just him, it's just Gary Vee. If you don't like his language, because he has some harsh language sometimes and stuff like that. He says the F word all the time, but that's just him being authentic. He even tells you, "Hey, if you don't like it, if you don't like me, then don't watch my content." You know what I mean? It's about you living life on your terms. Uh, but some people, falter in that, and it's okay. If you falter in more of that professional line. You don't want people to see your kind of your personal life. But I think as an entrepreneur, once you let people in your personal life, I think you go way farther. And that's what I'm trying to accomplish with YouTube. And as far as the parameters of YouTube, not always get into super edited videos, but I spend 5 days, 12-hour days editing one video. And because it takes away from that. I do it sometimes, but because I like doing it, but I just don't have time to do it all the time, but it takes away from that authentic feel. And, some of my videos, I know I can ramble, I know I can go on and on and on, but again, that's just me, and sometimes I have to stay on point better. I understand that as well, but again, that's just me. Yeah, Katie, I'll check it out. It's a little, yeah, a little. But I'll look it up on Amazon too and kind of check it out. And maybe I don't know. Sometimes some places will actually deliver to Thailand. I didn't know this until I lived in Thailand. Amazon will deliver to Thailand. Not everything, but they do deliver to Thailand. And what's kind of cool is I did find this out because lots of times when you live abroad, lots of times there will be like an international fee. And what Amazon does is usually Amazon they'll charge you an international fee, but at first I'm thinking they're going to double charge me. I think they're going to charge me for taxes plus an international fee or like a border fee. But they only charge you one or the other, so you don't get double charged in most cases. So I'll see if they can send that up to Thailand for me. If not, I'll send it back home in the United States at my house, and then when I get back, I'll read it or pull up the PDF. And I can always do that too. Then you said like the audiobook. And I love audiobooks. Sometimes I'll do the audiobooks at nighttime. I'll listen to them at nighttime, like before I go to sleep. Yeah, no, I got you. My problem is I'm facing that I can manifest for others more easily than I can manifest for myself. I mean, you sound like an empath a little bit. I'm not saying an empath in a negative way because there's a superpower to being an empath, but the what happens is we don't control that superpower. Uh, and I think too, like the reason why you feel that you can manifest easier for other people than yourself is because you're too attached to it. You're unattached when you do it to somebody else because you're not overthinking it. You're just doing it. But when it comes to you, especially being an empath, I'm just talking for myself because I'm an empath and trying to get better at it. Uh, we can be attached to things, and it's an unhealthy attachment. And until we kind of can learn to let it go, then that's when things will come to us. Almost like what Neville Goddard says, if you follow Neville Goddard, which he's passed away now, but if you read his material, is that Neville Goddard says, even with the law of assumption, you set an intention. His whole thing is it has to come to you, but you don't quit. You hang in there. It doesn't matter how long it takes. Okay. You stay consistent, persistent until it happens to you. And I think there's a lot of power in that because when most of us, when we're attached to something, most of us give up and quit right in the middle of that attachment. We throw in a towel. But what I find is that when you just hang in there, even if you're attached, eventually this could take weeks, months, and sometimes for people years. Eventually you hit a point where you're so tired of being attached to it, you truly just let it go. And once you truly just let it go, sometimes in 2 days it comes to you. And I don't know if you've experienced that and other things in your life where when you finally just let it go because you're so tired of being attached to it, you you know, 2 days later, it shows up in your life. uh, but as an empath, you know, it's the superpower of the empath is we have our we can feel other people's energy. So, and it is really stems from childhood. It doesn't mean we had a bad childhood, okay? It usually means that there's an overbearing parent, something that kind of led us overbearing, something as a child, as a kid, that we had to protect ourselves a little bit. Maybe for me, it was, you know, well, now's not the best time to kind of hang around dad. You know what I mean? Now's not the kind of best time to go up to dad and ask him something or ask him something I want, you know, stuff like that. Uh, and you've honed in this skill as a kid, but now you're an adult. Okay, now you're in your 20s, 30s, and 40s, and you've honed in this skill so good. You're so flipping good at it that when you walk in a room, you can just feel other people's energy. A lot of times you're so good at it, you can almost feel when other people lie to you. It's not that you can really pinpoint on it, oh, you're lying to me, but the energy's off because you're so sensitive to the energy. Like the energy's off and it makes them off as well. So that's why you can kind of sense lies, you can sense deceit in people. But what comes along with it, superpower number 2 is your intuition. You're very, very intuitive. That doesn't mean that we follow our intuition. That's the second step to this. You know, we have to follow our intuition, but we're very, very intuitive. But uh, the downfall that we have is that we're constantly absorbing other people's energy. That it's almost like we're hanging around energy vampires, and it's sucking energy from us. And we can get exhausted. We can get tired. We can get where it's like, oh, I got to be alone right now. Come almost kind of like recuperate. Uh, so you know that's really that's really kind of the empath. Um, that's something else I wanted to say. When you wrote the comment, yeah, I find like letting go being an important part of the process and the change. Yeah, there's another thing you said up here. Problem I'm facing is that manifest for others more easily than I can manifest for yourself. What is that like? I mean, you might be kind of you seem like you're kind of advanced with this also, uh, because when you're saying you can manifest for other people, I mean, usually people don't know that. Usually people focus on themselves, but it's like the same power I have for myself. If I can manifest my dream life, manifest anything I want, live life on my terms. Well, I have the same power for other people. So, so kind of how we do this is like, you know, like, uh, Neville Goddard gives a really simple example is like, you know, we have a loved one that's unemployed. Maybe he lost his job, got fired, got laid off, and they come to you and have a conversation that they're looking for a job. And, and the higher consciousness self is, is we don't see them as unemployed. So we can go inside our imagination and I can see my cousin John employed. He has a job. He's making twice as much money at his previous employer. and I see it in my imagination, and I just let it go. That's probably what you're doing, like, in a way, in a sense, is because you already see them as manifesting their desires, and but you truly let it go because you're not attached to it. That's why, like, when we again, if you go inside the Bible, that's why prayer works when you have multiple people on common ground. That's why prayer works so good, is if we use it in the right way. Okay, but the reverse happens too. Like, if you have an alcoholic in a family, and no, I have that too. You know what I mean? And I've done this where you go to family gatherings and everybody's sitting around the table talking about Uncle John being an alcoholic. But when you talk about somebody in that way, higher consciousness is you bind them to that alcohol. You keep them bound. That's what we're doing. We're keeping them bound rather than I mean, what would happen if we all got together and we talk positive about Uncle John? We talk positive how he broke free from the alcohol addiction. We talk positive that he has a great job now. We talk positive about how he's supporting his family. I mean, what would that do for that person? Because everything, even Thomas Troward, if you go into like Joseph Murphy, The Power of the Subconscious Mind, or Thomas Troward, is they talk about the same thing in a different way. But the same powers we have for ourselves, the same powers we can do for other people. Um, but the reason why it's working for you for other people, because you truly let it go. You're not attached to it. Yeah, you said, yeah, you aim advanced. I could tell by kind of your experience, how you're writing and stuff like that. And then what I find, even like myself, I've been doing this a long time. Sometimes I don't look at myself as a guru, but like, even with advanced people, we can get kind of like, for me, it can be easy for me to kind of look at somebody's life and say, okay, this is what you're doing. And lots of times I'll hire coaches and stuff like that, even in my life, is because, again, we can help other people. We can manifest for other people. We can see what other people are doing, but lots of times we're super attached ourselves, and we don't see that attachment. What's holding us back. We need somebody else to come in and say, Chad, this is what you're doing. And then a light bulb pops up and pops off. It's like, you're right. Why did I see that? um, but 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 I do the same thing, even years ago, and now, hiring like coaches and mentors. And I think that the great example is, I think most of us have this example, or most of us experience this, is you're in a relationship, and this can be twofold. Either you're going through it, or you have a friend going through it. They're in a relationship is rocky. They're not getting along with the other person. Maybe the relationship is on the turning point of maybe them breaking up or getting divorced. But when you're in a relationship like that, you're so emotionally attached to it, you don't see what you're doing. You make sense? And that's why sometimes, people will go to a marriage counselor, or go to a counselor, just for somebody to sit there and listen, to kind of see what's going on. Because when you're an outsider, it's easier for you to look in and see what's going on. And that's the same concept of manifesting. Is It's almost like we're in this unhealthy relationship with ourselves, of attachment and not letting go, and kind of the little mistakes we're doing. It could be little decisions we're doing that's holding us back. Lots of times other people can see that, but you don't see it, even though you should see it. Same way with myself. Like, even though I would think, well, Chad, you should see this stuff, but sometimes we're just attached to it ourselves, that we don't see it. We don't become aware of it. Yeah, rhythm. You said, yeah, I find letting go being an important part of the process. It is. It's like, it's probably it's way more important than we think. Because if you truly let go, what that means is that you truly just trust the process. Bottom line, like, if I say, uh, I want my dream house. My dream house is in Hue, Thailand. I'm gonna buy the biggest plot there. I live in an orchard, which is it's a housing community there. Um, and I said, That's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna buy the biggest plot. That's where I'm gonna move. They're gonna build my house. I'm up in Surin, staying up in Surin while they build my house. And when I say it, it has to happen. And if I truly let it go, what that means is I just truly believe it's gonna happen. That's the point of letting go, is you just truly believe as a kid. Almost, you remember as a child, you're running up to your parents, but it's getting close to your birthday, and you're saying, "I want this for my birthday." And your parents are like, "Okay." You just truly believe. You just run back, play with your friends, whatever, you let it go, but you truly believe your parents are gonna get it for you. I mean, unless now there is a little slight issue in there, unless, y unless your childhood was rocky a little bit, unless you got some mistrust there from parents, and I know some of us experience this kinda stuff. Uh, but for the most part, you're as a child, you just 100% believe and let go, and next thing you know, it's your birthday, you got your favorite toy, or you got whatever you wanted. Um, uh I just change my mind too often. That's what Rhythm said. I kinda have that issue too, and that's something I became aware of. Like, if you change your mind, it just means you're indecisive. You're not being decisive. You're not making a decision and stick to it. Uh, and if you change your mind too often, you're kind of communicating to your subconscious mind, or you're kind of creating confusion to your subconscious mind, because your subconscious mind doesn't know what to bring you, but you're just constantly changing your mind. So it's just going to bring you something. Okay. It might not be what you really want. It's bringing you something, but since you're constantly changing your mind, you're not just holding to it. You're not just firm. Okay. And this is why I find with not just reading books on this. This is what I find with, like when I used to live in LA, some of my friends were celebrities. I would have, even like when Liam would have his birthday, like I would have, like Gina Davis would come to his birthday party. Sometimes like really kind of, I want to say like popular plastic surgeons would come to birthday parties and stuff like that. I worked in the entertainment industry at the same time, so I was always around it. And when I got into business, I a lot of my mentors were crazy wealthy. Even like with Ed Milet. Ed Milet is super popular now online. But I worked with Ed Milet back in 2003, from 2003 to 2007. I mean, he was already a millionaire back then, with his company. It wasn't really his company, but he was like the executive vice chairman of the company at that time, something like that. And what I find is like when you hang around somebody ultra wealthy, and the prereq would be like you make $1 million a year, is what you find is they're very, very, very decisive. They know what they want, because you almost grow into a confidence in it, because if you know what you want, you know you can get it. And that could be like, if you're very, very indecisive, and I'm indecisive. Okay. This is something I have to work on. That's why I know a lot about this, is because I'm this way. Just I'm analytical. I'm over analytical. There's a pro and con to that in business and stuff like that. But when you're over analytical in manifesting and what you want, it becomes a con. It's not a pro anymore. Okay. When you're just overthinking. Okay. And or you want to make a decision, but you're trying to overthink that decision. Well, is it the best decision? Not a good decision. No, should I do it? Not do it. Okay. And this is what you're constantly going back and forth like that, rather than just making a decision and moving on from it. Just because it's how you are communicating with someone's like messaging me on my phone. Sorry about that. Um, I also manage I have a website, but I manage a chat bot and stuff like that. There's a live chat bot on there. That's not really important. Just a kind of like a spam. Someone just goes on it and leaves a weird comment. But anyway, what I find is that, kind of going back, is when you're really successful, you tend to be way more decisive, because you build up that confidence. But the thing is, that's how you have to become right now. You have to become very decisive. And it's scary. And I know it's scary because I do the same thing. Like, but the biggest thing is how you're communicating with your subconscious mind. What you're really telling your subconscious mind when you're indecisive. Okay, it creates confusion because remember your subconscious mind is very impersonal. It doesn't try to figure out what's best for you. It doesn't try to figure out, should I do it, not do it? It doesn't try to figure out this is true and false. It doesn't try to figure out this is the best solution than over here. What I mean by your subconscious mind is very impersonal, is that whatever you give it, it gives you. No matter if it's a lie, you give your subconscious mind a lie long enough, your subconscious mind is going to give you that lie. That's why sometimes affirmations work very powerful. If you can stick to the affirmation and not give up. Okay. If you can sit there and say, I'm a millionaire, and you have an affirmation wrapped around it, and you flip and say this day in and day out for weeks and months, and maybe even years, eventually your subconscious mind is going to take it as true because you keep on saying it like a robot. You keep on saying it over and over and over. And guess what? Once your subconscious mind takes it as true, takes it as a fact, it gives it to you. But the thing is, it's not trying to figure out what's good for you. It's bringing you the negative just as quickly as bringing you the positive because it's impersonal to you. And when you can't make a decision and you're indecisive, that's why you're just having, odd things come into your life. And I used to do this like when way back in the day when I lived in LA, I would always want to go home and visit family. My mom and my sister, all my family basically live in Ohio. So I lived in LA and I would always be indecisive about uh, buying a plane ticket back home. I would always put it off and put it off and put it off and put it off until that decision is made for me. Does that make sense? Okay, we were indecisive until that decision is made for you. And how is it made for me? Because I wait so long until my plane ticket is like 4 times or 5 times expensive. Then I say, no, I can't go. But the bottom line is I was indecisive. If I would have made a firm decision 4 months ago, I could have bought my ticket and went. But I was indecisive and I just wait until that decision is made for me. And those are the dangers of being indecisive. Then at the same time, sometimes we want to say, well, manifesting isn't working for me because you're confusing the hell out of your subconscious mind. The subconscious mind loves specific. You're very specific on what you want. And I was just listening to last night actually where Katie, when we were just talking about books. I was just listening to Dolores Cannon. She passed away, I think, back in 2014-ish. And like she was, I mean, she was pretty intense. She was really into consciousness and past life regression and stuff like that. But she has some very interesting things on manifesting. And but what she was saying was that, in which I no, I really believe is that you have to be very specific on what you want, very decisive on what you want, down to the T on what you want. Because once you're very specific, you know what you want, you know you can have it. It has to come to you by universal law. If you can see it here, like I said earlier in a video, if you can see it in your imagination, it has to happen to you. Might not happen to you tomorrow, might not happen to you in 3 days. It has to happen to you. It has to come to you. Okay. If you can see it here, it has to happen. And that's something even I try to get excited myself is because if I can see my dream car, if I can see my lifestyle here, if I can see my dream house here, I can see the life I wanna live life on my terms. It's all now I'm pointing here, my 4D world. If I can close my eyes and see it, it has to happen to me. It has to come to me. Bottom line, these are universal laws. These are promises of God. These are the powers of God, no matter how you wanna say it. Okay, let me see. Okay, you you are answering me a little bit. I get off on a tangent and I don't look at the comments. I find I change my mind often because other people have ideas about me and I let them take control of my choices. Okay, I've been there, done that. You know what I mean? And I you know even with that, I have to be careful. I have to be careful with holding frame and having standards and boundaries and knowing that I what I want to do is okay and all the noise around me doesn't affect me. Okay. I'm still kind of getting better at this process. Okay. I'm not as bad as I used to be with this stuff. Um, but but I feel you with that. You know, you have a lot of people around you, a lot of opinions, and you kind of go with their opinions rather than holding your own opinions. You go with their opinions rather than being the authentic you. Now I am alone and I'm finding out who I am and what I want. It has been slow. And I kinda been through this, like, kinda back in 2021 when I told that story when I first came to Thailand. I came to Thailand by myself, alone, didn't know anybody. Um, it was a great experience. And on top of that, I need to make a video on this. On top of that, when I lived in my resort, I lived in a resort. I did resort living in Phuket for 10 months. I lived in the same resort for, like, 10 months. And when I came to Thailand, of course, I couldn't speak Thai. I didn't understand Thai. And the TV in my resort was only Thai, so I never turned on the TV. So it took me a while and to kind of get used to that, like not having a TV on because I didn't understand it. And so when I was in my hotel, in my resort, I was just I took books with me, personal development books like Think and Grow Rich, The Power Wealth Classics, The Science of Getting Rich. Listen at that time, I listened to a lot of Neville Goddard live recordings, and like climb, I was so intense with it. That's so intense. Just because before Thailand, I've always been in a relationship, and I never was just kind of like by myself. And at kind of like during the pandemic, after the pandemic, it was kind of like I was just like by myself, and I wanted to travel abroad and live abroad, or at least experience it, even if I want to go back to the States or not. And and that's the first time I kind of was just kind of being me, doing what I want to do. And it's a great, when I think back, it's such a terrific experience. I mean, I'm in a relationship now, but when I think back, like, it's such a terrific experience to go through that. Um, even if it sounds like you're going through this funk and but you're learning who you are. That's the biggest thing. You're learning who you are. You're learning that authentic version of you. You're For the first time, you're learning that I'm doing what I want to do. I'm dressing how I want to dress. If I want to sleep all day, I can sleep all day. If I wanna go up and go eat at this place, I don't have to get nobody's permission. I don't have to ask anybody. I just go and do it. I mean, it's such a freeing experience when you're in that situation. So what I would tell you, rather than looking at it as a negative and look at it as a positive. I mean, life is happening for you and not to you, okay? And even though and I don't know how beginning of the process you are here is you're learning to kind of live life on your terms. You're doing what you want, and you're kind of breaking free from all the noise around you, breaking free from maybe someone always telling you what to do, or maybe not in a negative way, but they're influencing you, and then you end up listening to their influence. Uh so so, so I have 100% been there, when it comes to that stuff. Yeah, I mean, Katie, you're exactly right. I mean, uh, you've learned that you have to have your own goals and focus, and others will use your energy for those goals. I mean, that's 100% right. I mean, you like every time I've been in a relationship, again, I'm an empath. So usually what an empath will do, your energy is kind of for them. So you kind of give up what you want to do because you want to please the other person. And this is what we end up doing in every single relationship. It's friendships, it's acquaintances at work. We're giving up a piece of ourselves to please the other person. And and I'm not saying we can never do that, but for an empath, we do it to the extreme. We do it to the extreme, baby. And and what we have to learn is that to hold our own frame, be in our own world, okay? And when we're in your own frame, you have your own hobbies that you like, you enjoy. So lots of times, like when I would be in relationships, I would stop doing my hobbies. I would stop going and spend time with a significant other, even though I would honestly would rather be doing my hobby. so like if I wanted to go to the gym, I would sacrifice, I would stop doing that stuff. But what happens is you're not being you, you're not being that authentic version of you. And I mean, this even goes on to, when we talk about, attracting your SP and stuff like that, like people find you more attractive if you're in your own frame, you're doing your own thing and you're holding frame, you have your own standards and boundaries. And if someone crosses those standards and boundaries, you enforce those standards and boundaries. And the next step to this, you're okay with enforcing your standards and boundaries. And this is like a stepping stone, for even for me, is because it takes a while to hold frame, takes a while for me to be comfortable in holding frame and not letting people, the influences outside me influencing me. Then the next phase is having standards and boundaries. In the beginning, we say we have standards and boundaries, but we don't enforce it. And that causes internal conflict because we're not enforcing our standards and boundaries. Then we get up where we're enforcing our standards and boundaries, but we're finally stepping up and saying, no, I don't like this. But you feel guilty as hell for saying it. And it's eating at you on the inside because you just feel guilty for saying no, or you feel guilty for holding to a boundary. But when you do it long enough, you kind of learn that it's okay. It's okay to say no. It's okay to be in your own frame. And and I'm not a relationship master. I don't look at myself as a relationship master, but when you're in a relationship, it's two independent people coming together, and these two independent people, they can have, it's okay for them to have their own hobbies and be their own person, be kind of authentically them, but they're coming together for a relationship rather than one person totally giving up who they are to come over here. And that's when it might take years for this to develop where they're just not happy in relationships anymore. And that was me. That was me down here. Is it took years, but it just got to a point that I wasn't happy in relationships anymore. And it wasn't the other person. You have to understand this. It wasn't the other person, it was me. Because it was me because I didn't learn how to, growing up, whatever, I didn't learn how to hold frame, set standards and boundaries. I kept on giving up that energy of mine just to please the other person. And it gets exhausting for you where you just want to end that relationship. You kind of want to run away from responsibility, kind of what you're doing, or kind of what I was doing in that way. Uh, so a lot of the stuff we're talking about, like I went through, I still go through, I'm aware of it, I'm doing it. And that's the kind of phase one, is being aware of it. Once you're aware of it, you can fix it. Yeah, exactly with them. Like you said, like I am in the beginning to please myself over other people. You're doing what you want to do on your terms. And sometimes you start simple. Sometimes it's just hey, I don't want to go somewhere. You know what I mean? And I'm getting better at it now. It could be like if Aang wants to go grocery shopping, maybe I'm working and I say, "Oh no, I don't want to go today." And she's fine with it and I'm fine with it, you know? And it's those little things. You kind of start small and you get confident doing it. You build up confidence with the small things, then it's easier for you can do it with bigger things. And sorry, my voice. It's easier that you can start when you have to. Sorry about that. been talking for a while. But it's easier when you have to really like push a boundary or a standard and kind of uphold it, then it gets easier for you to do that because you had a lot of practice with little stuff of, kind of doing what you want to do. And I know it sounds selfish, and I know people sometimes say, "Oh, but I'm talking about the extreme. If you're an empath, you're way over here. If you're a narcissist, you're way over here. You're working off it. You're working off of extremes, but you kind of have to you kind of come back to the center and only be you. Or you hear successful people say stay in your lane. When you're working, maybe you're an entrepreneur, life, relationships, whatever. You stay in your lane. Okay, you focus on yourself because that's where all your energy is. When you focus on other people, your energy goes all over the place. It starts scattering. Okay, when you start focusing on yourself, then this is the present tense. This is the present now. This is where your energy is. Okay. You hear a lot of people talk that a lot of successful people talk that way is stay in your lane. And they've learned it the hard way because everybody goes through it. Is is I'm staying in my lane. I'm driving down the road, staying in my lane, and someone makes a negative comment on YouTube, and I'm like, "Err." I go off and crash the car. Uh, I mean, that's what we do, and that's what I mean by noise around you. Don't let the noise around you distract you, no matter what you're trying to accomplish in your life. But friends, YouTube fam, it is about 90 minutes. Been going live for like an hour and a half. I actually haven't even had breakfast yet. So I got up, had my morning coffee. Then I after my morning coffee, I drink this oh shoot, I have a brain fart, what it's called. Uh Collagen. It's like a collagen drink. So usually Ang makes that for me in the morning. When she takes it in the morning, then she makes it for me. So I drink that, which that has I think it's calorie free. Or if it has calories in it, it's very, very limited. Um, then I was going to go live, but then I was not having trouble going live. But since we were going through this book review, I was looking at the YouTube policies and stuff like that. 'Cause I didn't want to get like copyright checks and stuff like all that jazz doing a book. So then I kind of had to revamp everything. I was going to share the screen and do a PDF, but it's kind of fuzzy with the rules a little bit. Um, so almost spent like an hour getting ready um, for that, but I'm gonna have to get ready and go eat. It's not breakfast now. It's more lunchtime. It's 11 a.m. in Thailand. So I'm gonna have to go off and eat something because I'm getting hungry. Uh, Rhythm got your comment. Thanks for hanging in. Thanks for all the comments and stuff like that. I kind of enjoyed this. Kind of just sitting down, chatting and talking, and getting to know people and getting to know either subscribers or what's working for you, what's not working for you, and kind of just be transparent myself. Like if I struggle with something, I'm saying it. Well, this is what I struggle with. Or if I'm an empath, this is what because it's all we all can learn from each other pretty much. And what I'm struggling with might not be what you're struggling with. What you're struggling with might be a strength of mine. So we all can help out each other. And that's really the concept for my YouTube channel as it's kind of moving forward a little bit. Um, but thanks, Rhythm and Katie, for hanging in and all your comments and stuff like that and discussions. And I really appreciate it. But anyway, I'm gonna have to sign out, and everybody else that's been kind of popping on and off and not commenting. Thanks for showing. Even though you didn't comment, I can kind of see people coming on and off. But thanks for kind of watching and sticking in. If you jump on to kind of see what we're talking about and stuff like that. But blessings to you. And today's Thursday. It's about Wednesday night, so tomorrow's Friday. So it's going on to the weekend. So hopefully everyone has a great weekend. Stay safe out there. I know in the United States on the East Coast side, I'm not too sure of the weather, but I know it's kind of cold and snowy a little bit. But But stay safe out there. Have a blessed weekend, and I'll see everybody later.